Jai Shri Ram Dosto. Today we are having with us Saloni Salil. Saloni Salil Patnaik is an author holding authority in maritime security and maritime law, an advocate and a security professional. So, Saloni, today we are going to speak about internationalization of rupee, and I am happy to have you on our show after a very long time. So basically, a lot of things are happening on the geopolitical stage. Like a world is moving towards a multipolar world order, and the dominance of the dollar is is shrinking, and many other currencies are trying to fill up the gap. And India being an important player, there is an important event which is happening, which I call as internationalization of rupee. And India is definitely slow, but what I can see that India is quietly stealthily pushing up this internationalization of rupee. So please let me understand this, how it is happening. Please, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Umesh. Thank you for having me again and glad to be here. Um, as far as your question is concerned, not at all. India is not trying to overthrow the dollar. The dollar will remain dominant for a long time. What India is doing is more practical. It's reducing risk and increasing options. We have seen that after sanctions on many countries, the world has seen how financial systems can be used as geopolitical weapons. Access to payment networks, reserves, and trade settlements can be restricted. That, I think, was a wake up call for many countries. India has understood that over dependence on any one currency is a strategic vulnerability. So instead of confrontation, India is quietly building alternatives, and the goal is resilience, not rivalry.
Yeah, perfectly stated. And what you have to say about BRICS and de-dollarization, and what is India doing? How is India playing to the gallery?
BRICS is an important backdrop for India. Countries in the BRICS have openly discussed reducing dollar dependence in trade, but India's approach has always been different from the more aggressive rhetoric you sometimes hear. India is cautious. It doesn't want financial instability. Rather than launching a symbolic anti dollar campaign, India is focusing on practical mechanisms, local currency trade, digital payment links, and trusted trade corridors. Think of it this way, BRICS talks about the idea of alternatives. India is building the infrastructure that makes alternatives usable. I think that's a big difference. India is not trying to chase headlines, it's building systems.
Uh, in this year, there is the last year and this year has been a year of free trade agreements. We have seen multilateral free trade agreements happening with New Zealand, UK, Oman, and there's a talk that sooner or later we shall have an agreement with Canada and Chile as well. Recently, we had the mother of all free trade agreements, which happened between India and the 27 EU states, the European Union. So, one thing I would like to know, how do free trade agreements help a currency strategy? Like if India and EU are actually working together and signing a free trade agreement, they have signed a strategic defense agreement as well. And also they have decided to link, also they have decided to share the digital public infrastructure also. Because recently, if you remember, EU is building its own Eurostruck and it's seeking cooperation from India. How do you see that happening?
See, I think FTAs create stable economic highways. And when India signs agreement with countries like the UAE or Australia, trade becomes predictable and long term. Once trade volumes grow, businesses want cheaper and faster settlement options. That's where rupee trade comes in. India has already allowed several partners to settle trades in rupees. Every rupee transaction reduces the need to route everything through the dollar. Over time, foreign banks will start holding rupee reserves. That's how currency spread internationally, not through announcements, but through routine use. Trade pipelines eventually become currency pipelines. So that's the way it is.
You might have heard about Belt and Road Initiative, that the trade corridors which China has started, and it's trying to build that CPEC, that Belt and Road Initiative, then the Polar Silk Road and everything. India has also has done a lot of things in this regard with concerns like India had also opened a channel dialogue with Russia regarding the Chennai Vladivostok maritime route, the INSTC, International North South Trade Corridor, and also the India Middle Eastern European Corridor. How do you think that fits into in this story?
The India Middle East Europe corridor, or the IMEC, is a strategic breakthrough. It's not just an infrastructure project, it's a geopolitical and economic corridor connecting India to Europe through the Gulf. This shortens trade routes, strengthens energy partnerships, and deepens logistics cooperation with key Middle Eastern economies. Why is that important for the rupee? Because corridors create long term economic interdependence. The more integrated supply chains become, the easier it is to experiment with local currency settlements. IMEC, I would say, is essentially building a new economic geography where India becomes a central node between Asia, the Middle East, and the Europe. And the currency influence follows the connectivity.
Superb. And in recent years, China is pushing towards internationalization of yuan. It is bringing up institutions like SCO, then BRICS, and India is also doing the same. India is also trying to build up institutions by projecting itself as a voice of the global south. India is pushing for internationalization of rupee. So, how do you compare both the countries, India and China?
See, we know that India has always had a softer approach. China's approach is heavy and state driven. It pushes the yuan through government lending and state pressure tied to infrastructure spending or financing. Whereas India's model is always softer. It relies on trust, voluntary adoption, and digital convenience. Countries are not being pushed to use the rupee. They are being given systems that makes it more attractive, that makes India's approach politically safer and more sustainable. Its influence is through partnerships and not pressure.
Saloni, you have mentioned about digital infrastructure many times. Why is such a critical piece? Why? How does it holds the importance?
Because digital public infrastructure is India's unique advantage. UPI and India Stack have shown the world that you can run a massive economy on low cost, high speed digital payments. Several countries are already linking or studying these systems. When digital payments network connect across borders, local currency use becomes easy. Businesses don't need complex dollar clearing routes. Transactions become direct. This is currency internationalization through technology. And the 21st century, I believe, it's whoever builds these systems will shape the system as well.
Saloni, one more thing. Let me understand. If this strategy works for long term, what it changes geopolitically?
See, from what I can envisage, or we experts, or in the political circles, the conversations happen, there'll be three big shifts. First, India gains financial security. It becomes less exposed to external shocks and sanctions pressure. Second, India strengthens its leadership in the global south. The rupee could become a regional settlement currency in parts of Asia and Africa. Third, the global system becomes more multipolar. Instead of one dominant currency, we see a network of trusted currencies sharing space. So, India isn't trying to replace anyone, it's just trying to create a more balanced system. And that gives India a stronger voice in shaping global financial rules.
Okay, and what you can sense, do you think that this is a dramatic currency revolution? Is it, or is it a quite restructuring?
I think India isn't announcing a currency challenge or building a currency. It's just building a currency ecosystem. It's doing it through trade deals, through corridors like IMAC, through digital infrastructure, through strategic trust. So, yeah.
So basically, if I have to summarize this, India is building up free trade agreements, now pushing up with the strategic defense partnership as well, and now extending our digital public infrastructure, the India stack like UPI for adoption. We have already started negotiating with the EU countries as well. And few days back, we had a 22 member states Gulf Council foreign ministers meeting as well. Indian rupee used to actually was a regional currency. If you see, it was used in Middle East and Africa long time back before 1966. I think we are reverting to the era of 1966 back. What do you think so, Saloni? Are we trying to position rupee in the 1966 era where Indian government was forced to devalue the currency from American pressure? India is trying to reclaim that 1966 glory which we had.
I believe so too. I think somewhere I'd second your thought, but it's also creating a buffer against any unpredictable event, as we've been seeing for the last 1 year how the markets have been shaking, and a lot has got to do with what's happening in the US. So I think India is just trying to build a buffer, not just for itself, but also for its neighborhood, because a stable neighborhood is what going to is what go- is what it's going to keep India also stable and steady.
Thank you, Saloni. We had a very insightful conversation. I really missed you a lot, and finally you are back here. And I hope that we do have such conversation in future as well. Thank you for being here, Jai Siya Ram.
Jai Siya Ram, thank you so much, Umeshji. It's always a pleasure to speak with you and discuss some very important and pertinent geopolitical issues that are doing the rounds in the world. And it's important that everybody hears what's happening. Thank you so much. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thank you very much.